Week 17 in the books. We have just one more regular season week of football. Can you ladies believe it?
It's so crazy. I feel like it happened so fast.
Oh
Yes.
my
How are
God.
we here?
Almost Super Bowl time.
It is.
Yeah.
How?
We're this close. I need like 4 more weeks though.
Right?
I need,
Well, yeah.
I need a little more time.
As a
I don't know if I
Viking,
can take any more stress though.
as a Viking,
After last week, I
Blood
can't take
pressure's
any.
at an all-time high.
as a Vikings fan, she's like,
Listen.
can we extend this?
I need like a 25-week season.
25
And
Just
then
a little bit
maybe
longer.
we'll have a quarterback by then. Maybe, just
You never
a couple
know.
things.
Oh my God.
so
Well,
funny.
listen, we're going to talk about all the games. I mean, obviously, this week was huge for so many reasons, so many fights, so many Twitter wars, Russell being benched, Micah talking, Debo talking, Cam Newton, who's not even playing, talking. Just stop it. It's crazy.
It's a
On
Still
lot.
top-
pulling the crazy fashion though, Cam Newton is.
the fashions,
Always.
we're going to talk about that later. But on top of all that, we definitely are going to talk about the controversies, the referees. We have a lot to unpack. But
Oh,
I think it
man.
only fitting. By the way, first of all, MJ, Happy New Year.
Happy New
Vanessa Graddick is
Hey,
in the house
Listen.
repping her Vikings. And I think she's got a little
Wait a
something.
minute.
Hold
What?
on. Hold on.
Bring it.
What
Season's
you
done.
got? What
This
you
season's
got?
done.
Show us.
Yeah.
Show us.
Vikings.
So-
It was a good year. It was a good year. Well,
Head
it's done.
to toe
done.
Vikings.
Happy
know,
New Year, girl.
We're
Head
just
to
looking
toe.
forward
Yeah,
to
just forward now.
2024.
Okay.
I love it.
I can't even see
Positivity.
you. I can't see over there.
We want to welcome, obviously, our Dallas fanatic.
Yay.
Taryn is back, and I'm so thankful to have you guys up. We missed Sanaz. Sanaz couldn't be here today. Shout out to our girl. We're holding it down for
We
you.
love you.
But I think it only fitting because you, as a Detroit Lion fan, and it's like a boxing
It just
match, right?
hit me when
She
I
brought you
got
in
here
to
and
taunt
I
me.
saw you and I was like, wait a second, she is a Detroit Lions fan. This is crazy timing.
Taunt
We
you.
gotta talk.
So Detroit to the right, I feel like we're in a boxing match.
Yeah.
That
And then
part.
we have Dallas to the
Yes.
left. Before we get in to the now famous, infamous call.
Which
Yes.
is really
Yeah.
not
Let's talk about the
controversial.
game before we got there.
Okay.
How did you feel first quarter to third quarter? Do you remember?
I mean, it wasn't just the one play. So I will say that. I will say it wasn't Goff's best game. There were, incomplete passes. There were missed opportunities absolutely throughout the first 3 quarters of the game. But it was a good game. It was back and forth. It was exciting. It never got boring. It didn't feel like at any one time one team had it over the other. It was just this really fun back and forth. How did you feel?
You know what? I felt the exact same way. I'm going to say I slept on the Lions and I went into this game. We at home, we unstoppable. You can't. And
she goes into that. She goes in like that every game, though.
I mean, I've tried to be humble this
We're
year.
unstoppable.
I've tried to be humble this year, but there's just something
Did
about.
you?
I did.
This is humble.
Yes.
This is her humble year. Oh my
God,
goodness.
Like, I know Cowboys fans, and humble is not.
I
that is
tried.
not.
I know I haven't succeeded that well, if we're being honest. But I slept on him, and I thought, we at home, you can't. And it was only 7-3 until the end of the third quarter, and then we started. But you know what? I want to say I don't know much about Dan Campbell, and going into this game, I wasn't familiar with him. I've never seen him coach. I don't know about. I was impressed because Dan Campbell came into Dallas, and Dan Campbell wanted a win, and those Lions showed up, and they wanted to hand Dallas their first win at home and say, we did that.
Yes.
And he went for it multiple times on fourth down. Even at the end of the game, I kind of was like, whoa, he's going for 2. He's trying to win this. I liked Dan Campbell. He impressed me. And those Lions, we can't sleep on him.
No.
And Goff, is he expired? Is he? No, you know what? He had some big plays still. And
carried
I
the
thought
season
it
for
was
us.
an aggressive game. And
Yes.
I loved it.
And let me give you a little bit of Goff's stats. So for that game, it was 16 for 34, 271 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs.
Yeah.
And as you know, when we watch the games, I try to take notes because it's really hard to remember all games.
Yes,
Monday
absolutely.
morning,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm
especially
like, what?
now. You're in the holiday haze. I don't know
Yeah.
what I watched.
Right?
They all
And
blend.
it seems so far away.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
so many other things have happened since then. So
Yes.
my notes, though, it says Detroit offense suspect.
You're so disrespectful.
I cracked myself up. I'm like, that's literally what my
so
notes say. So
disrespectful.
it's but I would have to say that you're right. The numbers show it. Like, there wasn't an explosive offense on either side, which also says that the defenses came through, right?
Yes.
Let's
But
talk
if
about.
you look at the score of the game and you look at how many yards both quarterbacks put up in that game, I mean, for it not being a high scoring game, both quarterbacks threw up high numbers. It's just we were going for it on 4th down a lot, so the numbers weren't. We
Dak,
weren't doing the field goals and stuff.
That's how good the
I'll
teams
give
were.
it to your boy. Dak had he went 26 for 38, 345 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But 16 wins at home, right?
Listen, Dak has been solid, and it's time we start giving Dak some credit because Dak has been solid for us, and Dak came through. And did you see that 92-yard to CD to start the game? First of all, thank you for that because
some love to CD.
CD breaking the record. Shout out to my boy CD. Holds the most catches and yards. He just broke the great Michael Irvin's record. And man, what a season CD's having. He wears that 88.
Right?
He makes it sexy.
He
makes it sexy.
He
You can't hate that. You
does.
can't hate that.
He
You
does.
can't
I
hate that.
actually was like right near him when I went to the Dallas training camp this year, which is so weird that I do that, but I do.
I love it.
Isn't that weird?
Checking
You
out the
gotta love it.
competition. Checking out the competition.
I'm doing recon for
She
my
loves
boys.
us.
You know,
She loves us.
don't get it twisted.
I mean,
If I had an
want
opportunity
to.
to go, I would go. And
Right.
I
Wanna
don't,
go
It's
this
cool
year?
to
I don't rock
witness.
with the Cowboys at all.
Let's go.
I'll be there now that I
Um,
live down here.
But let's talk.
I'm in.
Let's now talk about what everyone's talking about,
Okay.
and that is the
Mistaken
last
identity.
few minutes of the 4th quarter. And before we
Yes.
even get there, I will have to say, what scares me for you guys, Dallas, is McCarthy, because on my other notes, next to Detroit's offense being suspect, it said McCarthy tripping. Why is he not running out the clock?
You know what, though? If you listen to Jimmy Johnson, as we saw him getting celebrated, and we'll get into that later, but if you notice the difference between Jimmy Johnson, he had a disciplined team. Jimmy had that team. They weren't getting the flags we're getting now. And McCarthy, I don't see the discipline. I don't see the eagerness. That's why Dan Campbell impressed me, because I was like, yes, coach.
Mm-hmm.
Where McCarthy, I don't feel that energy.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys it was 2 minutes and like 40 seconds. And I think you guys were up.
Yes, and then you guys just got all the way down the field, and I'm like,
and he's throwing the ball. Most coaches, right,
Run the clock.
right?
Absolutely.
You want to run
Yeah.
out the clock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially in this league and with these quarterbacks.
And when you're getting to
You
this
don't even
point
wanna
in the
give
season,
them 40
this
seconds.
week.
Right.
This is when you got to be on it. This is when you have to be on it. You can't have those mistakes. And lucky we pulled this one
Hey,
off.
you said the key word. I'm sorry, but lucky.
Lucky.
It ain't lucky, God.
Well, you
You said
we have it on tape.
You said lucky.
Okay, I take that back, Cowboys. It wasn't lucky. Y'all earned
Y'all
that.
had all the rabbits' feet.
No,
and the
but you know
40
what?
clovers
I
and
will
shit.
say.
The rabbits.
They over there rubbing people. All right.
I know there's so much to
There's
unpack.
so much truth to that.
And
though.
so leading up to that, I couldn't believe that the Dallas Cowboys weren't running out the clock.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they didn't, and they were passing, which led
To the
to
opportunity.
the opportunity that the Lions had to win it.
Yes.
And of course, if Sanaz was here, she would talk about, I cannot believe they didn't kick the freaking point. Sanaz.
That's the part. I love
fair.
an aggressive play. I love it. But my dude,
I know.
you could.
But you
we
know
could
what?
have
If
resettled.
But we could have gone, and we have, the strongest kicker there. I mean,
No, I get that. But
When
go
you
ahead,
have
finish,
when you
Vanessa.
only have that much time left, there was no point when you could just play the tie, and then we
know.
start over. Then we have a new game, and then we can get back, and everybody can. But you're basically saying it's all or nothing. And unfortunately, y'all chose nothing, which is fine because y'all had just beat us the week before. So at the
Your
time,
feelings were still hurt.
F y'all.
We're
But
about to beat you again this week.
like this is the only time in my life that I've ever cheered for the Cowboys ever.
Hey, we will
But it was
take
only
it.
because
We
I
will
was
take
butthurt
it.
from
from the game
Understandably.
before. But
Understandably.
As every
dude,
fan
play the
should be.
tie so that we can move on. Well,
I
I'm
like the
sure
play to
hindsight's
win.
2020. I'm sure Dan Campbell today is. I'm sure he has not slept. I'm sure he's just repeated that
part.
back over and
But
over.
I like
and
the
over,
you do
play
that
to
in the
win.
third. You don't do it in the fourth.
Melissa,
You
as
think?
a
I like the play
as a
to win.
Detroit fan,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of us as football fans,
Yeah.
once he was going to go for the 2-point conversion,
Yeah.
like it was 3 times, right?
3 times.
Yeah,
3
Were
times.
were you as a fan going just kick, or were you still down with him to get the 2-point?
Yeah.
I was still
I'm
down with him.
interested.
I just had all my faith in Dan Campbell. I was just like, he must know
Yeah.
something I don't know, or he must see things different than how I see things here, just all because he just has led us to this point. So it's like, how do
Yeah.
you doubt him now,
And
Yeah,
well,
do
I think
another try.
it says a lot of, I think what my takeaway, and we haven't even talked about the actual call. We're
Yeah.
going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But the takeaway, I think, from as a Detroit Lion, someone that's been watching them or a fan,
Yeah.
you're going to bet, like you said, I'm going to just trust my coach because
Right.
that's how much love
Yeah.
he has in Detroit. That's how much love he has in the locker room.
And
But other fans were probably like, you not kicking also might show that you don't trust your offense.
Totally. That's
Right.
fair.
Right?
That's fair.
You don't trust your offense. And I get, though, Dallas fans have the best kicker, 35 for 35. He doesn't miss. So I get that. But you also kind of show you don't trust your boys to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
And at some point, and I think even Joy Taylor talked about this, at some point, when it's not working, the 2-point conversion, after the first time, the second time, at what point you go,
He
All right,
committed to
yeah,
it.
yeah. Like,
He
this is
committed
it.
to it.
In my mind, I was trying to I said, am I missing a rule? Does he have to keep trying? Or can we, because he
we
had 3
switch this up?
opportunities. And I'm over here on Google. I'm like, dude, I know. I was.
Yeah, like what does he know? What did he know?
What
Was
did
it,
he know
was it
that
a
I
kicker
didn't?
issue? Like,
But
what
couldn't that
was-
be a testament to how much he trusts his offense to convert?
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, you could take it that way too. He's,
Oh, but that third time, dog.
I
it's a
know.
wrap.
It was
I
dirty.
was-
It was dirty.
I was
And
surprised.
one of the times was from the 7-yard line.
But that's what made it so stressful. Oh yeah, after
Yeah,
they,
the 7-yard line.
7 yard,
yes.
and I'm sorry, but with Goff, who's like,
I know.
and then he proved my point.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Goff is having a great year. Not going to take that. But
Yeah.
then the one little easy pass,
It's like
horrible,
not today.
horrible pass.
Yeah.
Not today.
All right, let's talk about
Okay.
what everyone's talking about.
Okay.
And did number 68 tell Brad Allen, I believe his name is, the referee.
Enemy number 1 in Detroit right now. He better watch his back in
Enemy,
the
he is
streets.
not getting a free drink in Detroit.
No.
He's
not,
eligible.
Not in
he
Dallas.
ain't even on the guest list. You ain't even getting in the club.
Nope.
No,
Don't even wait in line.
that poor referee probably shouldn't check his DMs right now.
Delete
The whole
social media.
ref crew is now not allowed to play the playoff games.
Yes.
I heard
They're-
that.
They
And
are.
Adam Schefter just wrote an article a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago after the Chiefs game
Yep.
about this
That crew.
exact thing. This crew, their calls, how suspect they've been, the problems they've been having consistently this season.
Yep.
And then 2 weeks later, we get this from them. And it's just, what are we waiting for? At what point do we just say it's enough? It's enough. You're not welcomed here anymore. I'm sorry. You've cost
It's your job. Don't you
games.
get like a write up or something?
It's like being like an air controller, like instructing airplanes and being like, sorry, bad
Nowhere near the
identification.
runway.
You don't get to do that. This is not the career. This is not the career.
So
where
what
you
do you-
have mistaken identities? Oops.
What do you think? Because we probably, as football fans, we probably all have different takes of what we think happened.
Yeah.
I
Totally.
want to hear from M. Shea first.
Okay, I think that we saw Goff tell him to go check in, right? He left the huddle, he ran across the field, we see him having contact with the ref. I think that the ref literally saw 2 white 6'7" guys out there on the field and did not check jersey numbers.
Yep.
I think it was an unconscious bias. It was mistaken identity. It was foggy memory. It was an early dementia. I don't know. But
So many
something
possibilities.
happened, you guys,
Oh my God.
because after that, it was
You done gave the ref Alzheimer's?
She went all the way there. She WebMD'd it.
I said
was on
Wikipedia,
Google.
WebMD,
What causes this?
short-term memory loss. What are the causes?
The ref
You
went
guys,
overboard.
brain
I don't
spasms.
know. This is
Yes.
what?
weather. I don't know. I do not know. It was so perplexing because we hear afterwards Dan Campbell saying, we met with the refs. We went over
But why did
this.
you guys send 3 over?
Okay. That's the other thing. So for these newbies, man, if you're a newbie, I'm sorry.
It's a lot right
This
now.
is aggressive.
It is
Real
aggressive.
aggressive.
It's about to be time to go in.
I know.
Talk about.
This is gonna be a long podcast, I can tell. But here's the thing, right? So there's certain players on the offense, on the defense, where you know what they're responsible for. Wide receivers, catch the ball, blah, blah. Then there's certain players that aren't eligible to catch a pass. And if they are going to catch a pass, they have to report to the referees. And then the referees report to the other team.
And it's denoted by their jersey number, right?
And it's announced on the loudspeaker that number whatever is now eligible.
Right.
So I agree with you, by the way, on everything you said. And we're so...
And you know what? 68 was the one to go up to him clearly in the front. But you know what? On the other side of that, and I've heard they announced 70.
Yeah, you heard it.
So
we heard it.
It's not that it was a bad call or the wrong call. It was just the refs messed up numbers. And I do think,
And when they announced 70, that was the coaching team's opportunity to say, whoa, that ain't what we said, bro.
Right.
And they didn't do that either. So
exactly.
It's like, was it messed up on both sides? But at the end of the day, it's your team. You're responsible to make sure that everything you communicated got communicated back appropriately.
And it's so loud on the
100%.
field, but when you're up, when you're people who are not on the field, to have that advantage to hear, the clear audible. Because when you're on the field, it's loud, and I can imagine.
Boxes.
Yeah, that's what you paid them for up in the glass.
So, and I'm glad you said that because I 100% agree with you.
Yes.
And what no one's talking about, you're putting this, some people put it on number 68, some people put it on whatever. And you know who, if I had to pin it on one person, I would say it's the offensive coach. Because
that team.
That's your squad. And like you said, if you were, I better make sure my number 60 is 8.
Yeah.
And because we hear it, number 70 eligible.
Yeah, and they had already gone in anticipating this play, had already
Dan Campbell supposedly told the refs about it at the beginning of the game. Hey, this is a possibility.
Yes.
Yep.
You know what? I felt bad for 68 because could you imagine?
He
was so happy.
You just did it and you handed down
His big ass was so happy.
Yeah. And then
maybe not.
as a human
Oh
being,
my
I
God.
just was like, oh.
And the reason
but as
why,
a cowboy.
Again, for the newbies, like why that was such a big play is number 68, those linemen, they don't get a chance to get touchdowns very
Those
often.
boys don't catch the ball.
They don't catch the ball.
Ever.
So it was like
he's like one of the OGs that was just honored last week by Dan Campbell, saying you've been here from the beginning. We're finally bringing you a season that you can be proud of.
Yeah.
And Decker was so proud. And then it was like his highlight. It was.
And then.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, but not sorry.
I know what you mean.
Well, the one
still
thing
love
that I
you.
do think is kind of funny, and especially with the NFL, we're so, it's like what do they call that film when JFK, like the Brazuter film, like they dissected every camera
Oh, yeah.
to really figure out what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, I watched every angle.
Every
I listened.
angle.
I was all in because
The
I was
Brazuter
so
film.
confused.
What is that
Yes.
called?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that.
And I just think it's weird the league never said anything official, did they, after?
Yeah, no, they finally
Oh,
kind of
did
took
they?
responsibility
What
with
did
the
they
refs,
say?
and
Yeah.
that's why they got
That's why
demoted.
they can't go in the
Oh,
playoffs.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now
That's all.
we're going to move on to the other game, which was shocking, the Eagles-Cardinal game. But
Wow.
again, this might bring up more conversations, though, this play, of like, it wasn't a reviewable play.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I wonder, do we make everything reviewable in the last 2
But
minutes?
if this play was reviewable, what would you do?
it would have been a touchdown.
But you can't overturn it because you never gave Dallas the opportunity to say, "Hey, 68 is eligible."
Girl, that's
You
another
know,
part.
I mean,
That's what I'm
it
saying,
leads
like,
to
who
so
knows?
many.
The review,
Anyway.
I agree. I don't think the review in this particular instance would help because
That's true.
They'd probably
they
make
announced
them
the wrong
redo it.
number. everybody was anticipating the
True.
wrong number. We
They'd
would
have
have
to
to
do-
redo the whole thing,
Yeah.
put all the time back on the clock, which they weren't going to do.
Yeah, you're right. We would have to redo the play.
Yeah.
That would still suck for
Yep.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, the good news is Detroit is still in.
Yep, and that whole officiating team is out.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we could be safe now.
But let's talk about what I think shocked most NFL fans.
Definitely.
The Eagles lose
Thank
to
you,
the other
Arizona.
birds, the Cardinals.
Hey,
And let me
bro.
give a shout out to the Arizona Cardinals from every 49er fan and player out there. Thank you.
I forgot
And
the Cardinals
Dallas.
were still in the NFL.
Oh,
But the Cardinals beat Dallas too. They've beat a couple good teams,
I
even
know.
though they may not have won.
I love that you said that, Vanessa. The only
forgot.
tickets that I give up as a Niner fan are the when we play the Cardinals.
Yo, I have not watched the Cardinals since Larry Fitzgerald was playing for them.
Right?
dang.
They do still exist,
still
believe it or
very
And
not.
I'm sitting up here, I'm like, oh, the Eagles lost. It must have been the who?
The
What?
I was like, ain't no way.
What?
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
like, ain't
Fly,
no way.
Cardinals fly.
35
Get
to
it, Card.
31. And that just brings that game just changed.
But they
everything.
lost a 21-6 lead in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Here's what I found interesting is that the Cardinals head coach, Jonathan Gannon, he actually was the defensive coach for the Eagles. So that
was
was
he?
also a
Yeah.
little, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
I find that to be interesting because a lot of people are questioning the defensive coach for the Eagles.
Yeah.
They started out with what's his name? Sean Desai. He got replaced by Matt Patricia, expatriate.
Maddie Patty. Yep. Matt
Yep.
Patricia.
and so he's coming under fire. They say Matt Patricia's defense, they allowed 170, I think 7 in the second half alone.
Wow.
And he's been doing that the last 3 games. So
Since Matt Patricia came into the Eagles, they have given up 17 plus points 3 straight games in a row now.
Wow.
That's no small thing.
That's
Yeah.
no
It's not.
small thing at all. And that's cost them the first in our division.
I mean, you can't deny the facts. You know what's
Yes.
happening. What's happening with that entire?
But that's been a sudden meltdown. I mean, because what were they? They started off the season so hot.
Well, they
and
were-
then they've lost what the last 5
they
out of 6
they
or
lost
something like that.
to the Niners, the Cowboys, Seahawks, and Cardinals. And what was like all recently, like you
Yes.
said, they were like 9-1. They were doing really
Yep.
well, and something
So I
went
guess it's
downhill.
the Eagles that can't beat good teams after all.
Ooh.
Hey.
Look at here we
Okay,
go.
okay.
Here
She's trying to
we
blow
go.
it up.
I am
but,
such your typical
but I will
Dallas fan.
say,
Yes.
you know, Nick Sirianni.
Yes.
You know, he fits the Eagles culture. I
He
think.
does.
You know, poor Jen, the lady we had on here last
Oh my
week,
God.
got murdered on social media for her comments about the Raiders. And let me just say this, you know, here at Football Sexy, we love everybody's fandom and everybody's passion, and we let women talk how whatever they feel, whatever their vibe, whether I agree or not. We let them give their
Yeah.
take
Yes.
on their team. And her take was, I'm not sold on AP yet.
Yeah.
I love him. I think he's up there,
Yeah.
but I'm not sold yet. And I say that she
Fair.
talked about how he fits the culture. And when I talk about Nick Sirianni with the Eagles, I mean, he fits that Philadelphia.
he absolutely
doesn't
does.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I say that because I find it interesting, you know, when he beat the Chiefs, he was going through the tunnel. Remember that? And he
And he
was
made his
like,
comment.
what was that comment
did
he
he
made?
say?
He was yelling.
It was something sarcastic
Like,
that
how
we
you
won
like
in your
that?
house, or
Something. He
it
said,
was. I forget the
I
exact.
forget the
Something
exact.
very Philly of him.
Yes.
Yes.
He was making it known we won in your house.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then he won one game, and then they've lost since then. So I'm just
I
saying.
mean,
Listen.
Karma is the football field.
Um,
Karma is the Cowboys in first place now.
oh my
In our
goodness.
division, second in the NFC.
Is that karma or is that luck?
Oh.
You know, it's a fine line.
Well, let's talk
Only
about
time will
my
tell.
We're
boys.
going to be on vacation, so I don't know.
Let's talk about my boys.
Man.
Number one
It's time.
seed, 49ers, baby.
It's
We are
time.
going to enjoy our bye. We are going to enjoy home field advantage, which is amazing.
Which is huge.
It's huge.
Huge.
And for the newbies, let's talk a little bit about
Yeah, 'cause that's a
why
big
we are all
thing.
fighting right now.
Yeah.
Why
Right
we're
now it's a
all
big time in the
stressed
NFL.
right now. If you have a loved one and their team is eliminated, this is good for you guys. But if you have a loved one and their team is still in the race, good luck.
Anyone in your life, coworkers, if you're
And
like,
Yeah.
Football.
it's because right now every football fan who hasn't been eliminated, their team hasn't been, it's about to get dialed up.
Yeah.
Would you
Yeah,
agree?
it's going down. Even I think we have, last I checked, like a 0.003 chance of making it, but we're still in it.
Yes.
Still-
so
all
you're
I
saying there's a
need,
chance.
all I
Yes.
need is the Lions, the Packers, the Seahawks, the Buccaneers.
I love that.
Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, Madonna, and Oprah all
Right.
to lose.
Oh,
Yeah.
easy. Okay.
Okay.
And then we got it.
it's doable.
Go team.
And that's
absolutely
what I love
doable.
about the NFL. We literally we got this.
Blind
We're good.
delusion.
Hey, in
Blind delusion.
2023, you never know.
Yeah. Meanwhile, while some of the teams have already clinched, like my boys, like the Ravens. By the way, we have to talk about the Ravens
Wow.
too.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
whole conversation.
In
my
fact,
God.
let's talk about them now because
Oh, okay.
I could go on about my boys, but the Ravens, I have to give it to them.
Man.
Wow.
And the Ravens, I feel like have been a silent team, and we don't hear that much
Yeah.
about the Ravens.
Yeah.
But if you look at them and you look at, so John Harbaugh has been their coach since 2008. He has the fourth most wins in the NFL.
Yep.
He is 158 and 98 in the regular season. He's 11-9 in the postseason. Can we just stop and say how many postseason appearances that is? For a team that we don't hear much about, that is a lot of postseason appearances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And he's 11-9 in the postseason plus a Super Bowl win.
Yeah. I know.
There,
Wow.
getting it.
Unbelievable. And they dominated Miami. I mean, what? It was like
Dominated.
56 to
19.
19.
something
Yeah.
like
low.
that,
And it was hard for me because even though you can watch 4 games at once, okay, if you want to, you can.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like to do it because I like to be locked in on
It
one.
gets
And I was a
hard.
little
I need to
bummed,
focus.
right?
Yeah.
That my Niners were playing at the same time because I really wanted to watch both games and I couldn't give up my
Yes.
boys, right? But when I checked in the score, I was like, what? I just thought it
Yeah.
would be closer.
A
And
lot closer.
the Pick'ems girl on my
No.
app, on the Pick'ems on the app, I was like, we all picked it. We all said Fins
Wait,
up.
who did you take in it? Did you take Baltimore?
We
or
all
Miami?
took, I don't know what we were thinking.
We
What
all
were we
thought
thinking?
I don't know. I don't know.
They were going to be the upset.
Oh,
Someone
my
got
God.
upset.
I
I'm
think-
right.
I think we
Someone's
were at
gotta
home,
upset
right?
him.
Miami? I don't know. But
I don't know.
we missed that one. And I will tell you though, watching John Harbaugh in the locker room, I have to admit.
Oh my God.
I have to
They was
admit.
pitting it.
I was like,
He invited to the barbecue.
And I have never
he's so
seen
cute.
I have never seen him or Jim Harbaugh, another coach, formerly a 49er coach for 3 years, but now obviously
Who
with
he beat
Michigan.
in the Super Bowl.
We don't get into that. Why you want to bring up old shit? My point being, I've never seen either Harbaugh so lit.
Yes.
Like they're very monotone.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't see a lot of
But that
Personality.
team loves him. They respect
He-
it. That's a good team.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
was
it was a good
going
time.
off.
He was. I
Got
was
moved for
loving-
60. How old is he? 6. I was like, okay.
Oh my
I must have
God.
watched that like 10
He
times.
had the ice when he got home, though. He got all the
Oh,
Epsom
yeah.
salt,
Honey.
all the fire and ice. What's it called? Icy hot.
Icy hot.
Yeah.
I
We ain't
was
gonna see him for a week.
Yeah,
Need
because
the
no, he had a bruise on his forehead.
Did he?
Yeah, after that, he did a press conference. Everyone was like, "What happened? What happened?" And I'm thinking he went too.
He went too
hard.
hard.
He went too hard.
You can
was
only
popping
Dougie
the
so
champagne.
hard.
Yeah, he did a little Dougie. He
a
did a little
locker.
bit much. But I have to tell you,
He hit the stanky leg a little too hard.
as a
Man.
Niners fan, all right, as you know, I bleed red and gold. When I saw that in the locker room, that was more concerning to me
Yes.
than what was happening on the actual field.
Yeah, I can see
Because
that.
that's a hungry team.
Does that make sense?
The
Because
cohesiveness, they're a whole entity.
it just, you know what it did? It reminded me.
It was a humble celebration, though. It wasn't cocky. It was real humble.
Well, what for me,
I
what
mean,
I
you know.
saw there.
Coming from a Dallas fan.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
For me, what I saw
Maybe it
there.
wasn't. Never mind. I take that back.
What I saw there was a team that is a team.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You didn't not like Kansas City Chiefs fighting on the sidelines.
Right.
right.
Not just one game, 2 or 3 games now.
Trying to fight.
You know
their
what I mean?
coach.
I see some discord with the Eagles and the Niners family as well. You see it on the social media. You can feel it. So I feel like
Same with the Cowboys.
did she say something?
Yep.
I
Yeah.
didn't hear. Oh, okay. But
Throw
you get
that
what
in
I'm
there. I
saying?
got
Like
you.
I think as anybody who is looking to get into the Super Bowl race, when you see that in the locker room, you have to kind of go, okay.
We need
There-
to get
Yeah.
our shit together.
We need to
Yeah.
get our shit together.
That is
Exactly.
true.
Everybody.
That
Yep.
is
Team
true.
meeting.
It
Dan
is.
Campbell with the Lions, and you can see
Right.
that whole, yeah, absolutely.
And that's what's exciting
It
this year.
is. It
Let me give you
is.
some Lamar stats for that game. 18-21, 321 yards, 5 touchdowns, and no interceptions.
I mean, I just feel like
Wow.
he pulled up that MVP
Yes.
race, right? He just kind of was like,
Yep.
I'm here.
We're gonna talk
And
about
he
that.
only has 7 interceptions for the whole year.
We're going to talk about that because we have some stats that you might be shocked about when it comes to
Very
the MVP.
shocked.
Okay.
But
okay.
let me finish with this. The one thing that was bad, because we don't ever want to see people get hurt, but Miami lost Chubb for the
Yeah.
season,
Yeah.
torn ACL
Yeah,
that's hard.
of Miami. So, I mean,
Injuries are rough.
it's especially this time of year, which brings up a good
Yeah.
question. Going back to my Niners. So I did a live for the second time. I did a live the other day, and one of the questions was, Monica, as a Niner fan, do you think we should sit out our boys?
Right.
Rest.
Rest.
Do we
them
rest
this
our
week.
boys
for-
against the Rams?
For
And
our
I'm
newer
like,
fans, I feel like maybe
yep, go for it.
just to explain. So when
Yeah.
you're going into the playoffs, you want to have the best, the best team possible. And so
Healthy.
now that they're already number one seed, they don't need to have their full lineup of the absolute best players, all their starters. They can rest some of them, bring in some second string.
Because even if we would, it's not going to
they're not
happen. But
playing for
if
anything.
we lost,
right.
we would. You can't take away where we are.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
still
Exactly.
got the number 1 seed. That's what it means when you clinch it. It means no matter what happens, you're still
It's
that
yours.
number 1.
Yeah.
But it's hard because you guys are playing the Rams, yeah?
That's the
And
hard
that's the
part.
hard part because it's this rivalry
Yep.
in California. So it's
Right.
like it's still bragging rights. 'Cause
Yes.
For
Yeah.
me, every time we play the Packers, that's our Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether we are last in the division or first. The Packers are our Super Bowl every year.
Right.
Feel
So
that. Yep.
Right.
it's hard to just say we're just going to sit out when it's such a passionate game already.
Right.
100%.
Right.
Yes.
And the thing is, this is like, especially, but
But
then
the
you-
Rams
but
are playing for something, aren't they? Because aren't they?
the Rams
playing
need to
for-
win.
Yeah.
So this
Need
is
to
gonna
win.
they're gonna come after
So
us.
they
I'll
have
tell you right
something on
now,
the line.
Kyle's not sitting people out. Not
No.
right away. I don't think he's gonna sit them out unless we're up by like 28. That's just my guess.
In the
Because he's
second
just
half, yeah.
he's just like that. It'll be interesting to see. But we cannot leave the stage without talking about my boy, Brock Purdy. Broke the single season passing record in 16 games.
Yes.
4,280. Tell me he's irrelevant. Stop it.
I know.
Stop it.
I
Tell me he's a
know.
system quarterback. Stop it.
Yes.
Listen, if you think he's a system quarterback, I dare you to go watch the tape when he throws it to Ayuk in the end zone. Please.
Beautiful.
Stop.
It was beautiful.
Ayuk is on fire. I'm just saying. Just stop it. Just stop it.
Can't say
my
nothing
God.
about Cowboys.
I will
No,
say that
no.
CMC did have a calf injury.
I don't know. I lost my mind.
She was feeling it.
What did I sign up for?
Hey,
CMC
Back
had
to
a calf injury, but he now maybe has 2 weeks to heal, depending
Yep.
on, like we were saying, if they rest him. Or,
Yep.
I don't know how serious it is, or, but yeah, it was.
And talk about team vibe.
Yeah.
What was really cool was when the Niners won. By the way, I somebody asked me that on live too. What did you think about the Commander game? And I was honest. I said, well, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a beat down I heard your little story,
Because
girl.
Dallas
It wasn't.
beats
We
bad
won,
teams
but we
by
didn't
what?
we didn't like show out.
Right.
But we won, but
You
we
won.
didn't show out. But what I liked is that after we won, you see the Niners go into the tunnel, and you see a little TV in the tunnel, and they all watch because they're watching the Eagle Cardinals
Yes, I
at
saw
the
that.
last minute, and you
Yep.
see them. And you see them
Aw.
all together when they realize that they got the
Yep.
number 1 seed. I got a tear. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, yes.
But you know what?
No
Brock,
crying in football.
Oh, it wasn't a
Sometimes.
cry. It was like a tear. Like, yes.
But
Like, we're
Brock
getting there.
Purdy gave all the credit to his team, and
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
made sure to say, "I wouldn't." And I like that. I respect
Yep.
Brock
Yeah.
Purdy. I don't like him one single bit, but I respect him.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Absolutely.
I'm excited. Obviously, we all are. But you hanging on by a thread, girl. But
Listen.
we're all in it. Everybody up here is still
You
in
never
it.
know.
But speaking of still in it, let's talk about Kansas City.
Man,
Ooh.
What is happening over there?
They-
Kansas City barely beat the Bills, 25-17.
They're still not right. They're still not right.
they were
can't
fighting
get it
on the
together.
sidelines.
Yeah. But this isn't the first game that they've been fighting on the sideline.
And it
Like,
was a
whatever's going on
close-
in house, they need to fix that shit ASAP,
Yeah.
Rocky.
Right?
I blame the quarterback. I blame that. I think Mahomes is a crybaby and it trickles down. And, you know, that game, I really feel like it came down to stamina. And I feel like the Chiefs just held on and their defense at the end. But, you know, I have to give a shout out to my boy, Jake Browning from Folsom, my hometown boy,
Yes.
because he held on. So he went to the same high school as me from my hometown. My mom actually knows him because she works with kids with special needs. And so some of her kids were in some classes with him. So she would always talk football and she would always tell me, Taryn, he's going. So when he was at Washington and then now in the NFL, and he hung with the Chiefs and it came down to the end. But you know what? At the end of the game, with 1:51 left and them holding on to the game, Jake Browning converted 4th and 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
for a young kid and a young guy and young quarter, he is doing it, and I have to give him.
Isn't this his third win?
You know what? I don't know that,
I
but
don't
it's
either.
something
Don't have
like
it.
that.
think,
I mean,
he's been balling.
yes,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
kept them in it, and it
And-
really, I love it.
Shout out to Folsom.
Hey.
Folsom, shout out.
Okay, because you know we always think about the prison. Let's be
Yes.
honest.
When she said it, I was like, oh. that's
Yeah,
okay.
Johnny Cash.
Let me
Okay.
put my phone on this side.
Right? Exactly.
Oh, Lord.
was
I didn't know
my
we had
glasses.
criminals here.
Oh, I invite everybody, girl.
Like,
Criminal
Lord.
record, even better.
All
I was a
Viking stuff,
deputy
you're
child.
safe. I don't want no Viking stuff. You're all right.
Oh.
Well, let me
This
give
is
you some,
valuable on eBay.
let me give you some stats on the Kansas City game. Patrick Mahomes, 21 for 29, 245 yards, 1 touchdown. More than that, Pacheco is holding it down for that team.
He really is.
I like
18
Pacheco.
carries, 130 yards, and he can ball. Dun, 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 dun. I love when he does a little dance. By the way, that's funny. Remember when they were all hot on that? Where's that song been? Little Uzi?
Listen.
He needs to do another song called like "Bring Me Back" or something like that. Bring me back. Bring me back. Bring me
CPR.
back.
CPR.
They need to do something.
hey.
Oh my God. Anyway,
You never know. It may help.
oh, I gotta say this one thing, and we are gonna go a little over, but we got so much crap when we posted the little snippet of us talking about Taylor Swift. By other women.
I know.
By the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's
When we were talking about her
insane.
the
It's
other-
insane. So like I've said before, your perspective is yours. Your perspective. We all have different perspectives.
Yes.
So Nas is not a Taylor fan.
No.
We are.
Yeah.
She can say what she wants. Doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
That's
And
what makes it beautiful.
that's what
is
makes
everyone has
it-
their own take on things.
Yeah.
So Sanaz said something about, how they make this about Taylor, the
Yeah.
whole thing. And some people jumped on there, and which I found interesting, other women, how dare you tear, women tearing down other women. And then they were saying all these things. I'm like, oh, so you're tearing us down.
Tearing down a woman about
Tearing down a
a
woman.
woman who wasn't actually tearing down a woman. Just saying,
Who
because
just
I
had
said the
input?
same thing that I like Taylor Swift. I don't want her in my football conversations.
They overdid it. The NFL was trying to make some money off of it, and we don't need her reaction on every play. Listen, I love Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, and I'm the biggest fan, but like it was too much about, and I think they've backed off some because the
it's
last
not her
couple.
fault, like you said. She's not controlling the cameras.
No.
She doesn't run the
And
stadium.
she said that, and
Exactly.
she said,
She was like,
I
I'm just
can't.
trying to support my boo.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'll share something with you. I have a really good friend of mine who's one of the biggest publicists literally in the world, friend of mine. And he's actually learning football on our app, by the way.
I love it.
If you want to learn football, download our app. If you're an avid fan, download it as well. So it's the only football app you need. But when this all started, I was talking to him about it, and he made a very, I thought, interesting comment. And he just said to me, and this was the first time she went to the game. And he said, Monica, they're walking in like from locker room out. Who do you think was allowed in there with the camera? And I thought about it, and I'm like, the NFL.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all staged.
It was a very first,
Yeah.
but now we know. But back then,
I mean, they make
it
headlines.
was like, oh yeah,
that are like Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift leave the Arrowhead together. Obviously,
Yeah.
like that's.
but
yeah.
at that time it was just starting, right?
Yeah.
And everybody was so focused on the fact that they were leaving, but he
and
was
they're
like,
getting paid for those images.
His thought was,
course.
yeah, but who was allowed in there
Yeah.
to take
Who's
that
the
picture?
source?
Yeah.
Who was the source?
You
And I was
are
like,
right.
oh, the
Cite the
NFL.
source.
Right.
Yep.
So it is not, and this is my opinion. Melissa might have another opinion. My opinion is it is not Taylor's fault. It is everybody else's fault. And she can go and be where she wants as a fan, as not a
course.
fan, new fans. Who cares?
Yeah.
But it's not her fault. And so stop it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And everyone can have an opinion on it. Everyone can feel the way they feel. Even if you don't like Taylor Swift and you want to know, you can have that opinion. That's your opinion.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and great. She's bringing more fans to football. I'm down with it.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
but I
absolutely.
love her music as a songwriter. She's literally amazing.
I will say,
Amazing.
I will say, Kelce had no catches in the entire first half.
Yeah.
and that he was.
and then there's that.
And then there's that.
and then he was just a non-factor of the entire game. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Oh, that's what we
But
got in
what's
trouble for.
happened with him?
Oh, we got in trouble.
We were
because
talking about that he hasn't done anything
Distract
really
him?
because he's been distracted by
that's what. Yep.
living the
I
rock
mean,
star
still
lifestyle.
one of the greatest ever. No one's taking that away from him.
Yeah.
And
but
he's a
I
grown
just-
man. He can fall in love and still do his job at the same time. You know, like
Maybe.
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 seen.
I mean,
let's
she may be
just-
that magical.
let's just go to the-
I don't know.
Let's go to the charts. I don't
I'm
know.
sorry, but if I'm dating Taylor Swift, shit's gonna change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my life is gonna change, and I might not be as locked
Well,
in.
maybe Travis
Your life
Kelce
should-
mentally can't handle the intensity of, because it is a lot more intense. She is the number one woman in the world.
Yeah.
All this stuff.
Paparazzi in his backyard. He had
It
to
is a
up
lot
his
more.
security.
Maybe mentally he can.
It maybe not. Like for you will change. If I'm dating Taylor Swift, I'm going to change. But I'm going to change as far as where I go to eat. Like I'm not at the Cheesecake
Yeah,
Factory
right.
today.
Right.
Because to me, I don't really go to the Cheesecake Factory. But
Right,
that was the first one I could think
right.
about. But as a comedian, I'm not going to change my work ethic for my craft
Yes.
because of a romance.
Absolutely.
Like there are times
100.
where you have to just say, hey, we're not hanging out today because I gotta go write.
Right.
And I think that he needs to say, hey Taylor, I can't
Go to Australia.
I can't go to Australia today
Right.
because we trying to get in the playoffs.
Right,
My
right.
home's tripping. They fighting on the sideline. Bitch, I got shit to do.
Right.
And I just don't think that he's saying that to her.
Right.
He's like, I know.
But when do we
these
give them
little
the
playoffs.
grace to figure it out and realize they're human?
Not during the playoffs.
Right. How old is Travis? 30, 36,
I don't-
38?
He's
I
on
forget.
the older side.
Right in
for
there.
the
Well,
Yeah,
and
right
here's
in
the
there.
thing, guys. So Jason's team's falling apart. Travis' team is having issues. And I'll forget Taylor. How about the New Heights podcast? You're
Right.
you know what I think
In
about
the
the
Vanity Fair
podcast?
article, wasn't that what it was when he was saying how he thinks about retirement
Yeah.
very often
Well,
because of
clearly.
how much his body hurts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is just maybe the final
the final chapter.
Yeah, to be like, I'm hurt, I'm tired, I'm in love, I'm out.
I can go be a house husband.
Yeah.
And I am mad at that.
I'm ready to go have kids and
The house husbands of the NFL.
Yeah.
Go for it.
It's so funny.
yes.
I think I
leave Mahomes behind.
I clapped back to a couple people. I can't clap back to
Oh,
thousands.
send
But
them to me.
oh no, jump on
perfect.
the page, girl.
Just
And
at her,
feel
just
free
at
to
her in the comment.
feel free to engage.
I just
and
block.
I think one of the things I said,
I
I said,
fight.
listen, I said if Travis got married tomorrow and retired, I'd be happy for him. Who cares?
He's
I don't
so-
care.
yeah.
Do your thing. But as
It's their
a football fan who has a podcast, I'm gonna fucking talk about it. Like if we
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
talk about it, we're gonna talk about it. And if you don't
Absolutely.
like it, well, there's no channel, but turn us off. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
but listen anyways because we're right.
Yeah.
yeah. But we know what we're talking
But we know
about.
what we're talking about. So
And okay, thank you. See,
They're both
he's 34,
34.
and
Okay.
she's 32. So I think he's got more time in him. Maybe Jason might retire this year. That could happen.
Because
I
how old is
think so.
Jason?
36.
36, I
then,
think.
'cause
I think they're 2 years older.
older.
Yeah.
And he
But-
has 3 kids already and the wife,
Yeah.
so he's ready. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, but how shocking is it that the 2 Super Bowl teams are just falling apart? I mean,
Imploding.
I didn't see it coming.
No,
I
yeah.
gave
Yes.
the Eagles the rest of the season. I'd given up as a Cowboys fan. I was like, we're not going to get the division. Yeah, the Eagles got it.
And
They're
if it
going to
was,
win
like,
the
an
easy
injury
games.
thing, like Mahomes went out, like Cousins went out, like
Yes.
that. I think we'd be like, okay, well, obviously, but it was
Nobody-
an implosion, like you said. It was.
Yeah.
It's inside. It's the
Internally.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what was.
Well,
so
you guys
surprising.
know. So everyone was. I think I
sorry.
mentioned it earlier, but the Eagles' defensive coach left to the Cardinals.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could put it on that. Who knows?
And why
but-
did he leave? Right?
Well, that's the thing. They took my boys all the time. D'Amico's gone, Mike Daniel's gone, Robert Sala's gone. So whenever you're like an assistant
Really good.
coach, you're
Yeah.
good. You're always going to get the
Harbaugh,
opportunity.
John Harbaugh was an Eagles defensive coach before he went to Baltimore.
Yeah.
So he was from the
That's
Eagles
the
too.
thing. That's what I love about the NFL. It's so incestuous.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Threaded,
So
yeah.
crazy. But let's talk about the Rams because
Ooh.
they are
staying
still
alive,
in it
staying
as
alive.
well. And they
Yeah.
actually, don't get crazy. Oh, here we go. I love the rivalry that the Rams and the Niners have.
Oh, it's so
okay.
fun.
It's
Yeah.
always fun.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but you know, when there's a game in SoFi and the Rams, it's always a home game for the 49er fans.
Levi's
But a
Um,
lot of your guys' games are, you guys have a very strong traveling fan
We
base.
do.
Yes.
We
That's
do.
powerful.
Makes me so proud. Makes me
so
so proud.
jealous, but-
We were voted the #1 traveling team.
That's
just so you
huge.
know.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yay.
Hey. Okay. We're gonna talk about your Vikings in 2 seconds, but let's
Oh,
just
we
give a
don't have
little
to.
bit. No, we don't have to. Let's just
At
give a
least
little
you
bit
make
of
them
love
look
to
good.
the Rams who beat the Giants in a close. I think that was a pretty close game.
It was.
Puka Nakua.
Ooh,
That
makes it fun.
Oh, look at you. I see some Samoan, Hawaiian, Portuguese descent, 22-year-old rookie. I think that might be the rookie of the year.
Absolutely.
Is that a
think-
possibility?
I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a good contender.
He's got, he came from BYU, round 5. I think it was pick 177.
Wow.
But he is at 1,444 yards this season, 101 catches. And then I think he had 7 games where he was over 100 plus yards.
Wow.
He's killing it. And I like the guy.
Yeah.
He's a humble dude.
Yeah.
He's just a good guy. And I think he just broke the record too for single game. He had 15 catches, I think, or
Yes.
something like
Yes.
that.
Oh
So
my
he's doing his
goodness.
thing. But the Giants could have pulled it out. Did you guys see
It was
that
close.
that little pass that Tyra? The guy was wide
Hey,
open.
Tyrod Taylor, I give him a lot of credit. I didn't see that one coming, but
Nope.
there have been a couple games now where he's really okay, you still got something in you.
That Rams defense, so good. Just on it. Just
So
on
that-
it, locked up.
That's what scares me, man. Is
But
my
the Rams
Niners.
are up and down. I feel like they're not a consistent team, and I feel like struggle more than they pull it together.
Still
And
building. Absolutely. Yeah.
I feel like they're not one of the strong contenders.
Not as
But
strong
then,
as
that's the
49ers.
thing. They could be
yeah.
sneaky. You know what I mean? And that's what we looked up on the way
Like when the
here.
Browns beat the Niners.
Why you gotta
Yeah.
bring up old shit?
Sorry.
Keep bringing it up. I'm here for it.
What the hell?
Oh my God. I thought we were friends.
That's how we got through this.
Out of all the games Really?
No, just no sneaky. It's that sneakiness.
Yes.
The ones
Yeah.
that you never see coming.
And
You're
did
like,
you
oh, of course.
did you guys know? Like, I think like around 10 wild card teams have made it to the Super Bowl.
What?
So you can't
And like
sleep on the
6
wild
of them
card.
or
Listen,
something
hey,
have
you
won.
still in
Listen.
there, girl?
What?
Kirk, let's talk
You
about
could be
your
a
boy.
statistic.
Let's
Yep.
talk about
Oh,
the Packers and the Vikings.
Let's take it. Let's
You
take
give
it back.
to us. How was the vibe when you were watching? Were you there?
No,
Not
I was
this
at.
game. Okay.
No, I was because I was New Year's Eve.
Oh, that's right.
So
So
That's right.
Christmas Eve is when I was in Minnesota for the Lions game, which we also lost.
Were you guys in Green Bay or in Minnesota?
Minnesota.
Okay.
So
Oh
tell
no! Yes, we were in Minnesota. It was
Okay.
a home game because Kirk Cousins came out with his shirt off.
I saw that.
Hey, Kirk, put your shirt on. And go throw a ball or something. He just out here had his
With his
sons
chain? With
and
his chain?
It was New Year's Eve. He was
his
feeling
Flavor Flav
himself.
chain. Put your shirt on, Kirk. We're losing.
Yeah, and his kid had his shirt off
Who is
too.
your
Yes, we are
Cousins?
dying out here, and you are running around getting the ladies all riled up, and not your team. I need you on the sidelines telling these motherfuckers to win.
That's the only exciting thing you guys have going for
Who's
you.
so
is a
bad?
shirtless
He up
Kirk
there.
Cousins.
Oh, get your ass downstairs, Kirk.
What you doing, Kirk?
Yeah,
And then
well,
we scored, and I was like, "Oh, we out here. Okay, Tim, we got. They gonna score too. Okay, that's all right. It's supposed to go back and forth. Another one. Oh, okay. I think at fourth quarter, I told my dude, I said, I hate it here. Like, no. I was like, I watched the rest on the radio.
well, you know what happened
Your
is
tank emptied.
Jordan Love happened.
Oh, yeah.
Jordan Love has 24 for 33, 256 yards. I'm sorry.
I like
Plug
that
your
kid.
ears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns. And
Yeah.
Nick Mullins, I know, and he was a ex-Niner, but poor Nick, you know, how many quarterbacks have you gone through? 4?
3.
So 4, but 5.
So you,
Because we did
4 but
Cousins,
5.
then Hall, then
No.
Dobbs, then Mullins, then back to Hall.
Oh.
Dobster not. We missed Dobster
I
not.
know. He was pulled
He was sitting
so
there,
fast.
his weird looking self was on the sidelines. I'm sad that we didn't give him more of an opportunity to show what he could do.
Yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
that he was doing well. He was serviceable. He only had one play with Justin Jefferson, which is a problem.
Yes.
Because he couldn't get into that groove. So
Absolutely.
you give him
Yeah.
that one play with our star person, and then now that Justin is back healthy, throw Dobbs back in there and see what they can do together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point,
What
there's
you
nothing
got,
to
yeah.
lose.
Nothing
Yeah.
at all.
Let's
Yeah.
mix it up.
Let's see what we can do. Yeah.
Yes.
Why
You
not?
know what?
Well, I don't know where
We
Nick.
just waiting on the draft.
I know. Look, put you on that 2024.
She said, I'm out.
She's already moving on to
Catch me in
2024.
They may not look good on the field, but at least you look good.
Hey,
Well,
Yes.
well, there's 2 more things I want to touch on, and then we will really get into 2024 and get going. But we cannot leave here not talking about what the hell happened with Russell Wilson.
Wow, that's
Child.
shocking.
He got benched,
yes.
which is,
Sat and wore his helmet. The
you
whole
know,
game.
there's a whole bunch of talk of why. Listen, I went on live and I talked about it. I'm not a Sean Payton fan.
No,
I'm
I
just
know, I
not.
know.
I'm sorry. I'm a Scorpio and I don't forget shit.
Oh,
and as a
Scorpios.
Niner fan, I remember Bountygate.
Mhm.
And when you go after my boys and you tell your team to hurt my running back, Frank Gore, and it's on tape, I don't ever forget. So
Okay, so let's
that being said,
rewind
I'm
it.
biased that way.
Because so I understand the whole wanting to redo his contract and the whole injury thing, but why are they trying to get rid of Russell Wilson? Is it strictly because of the way he kind of doesn't vibe with the team, or that's the part I don't understand about it?
My opinion is, if you think about it, when Sean Payton got there, okay, Sean Payton was not coaching, right?
They don't get along, I don't think, right?
Sean Payton is a little bit of a bully, I think, right? You have
Absolutely.
certain coaches. You have your Nick Siriannis,
He's
you
old
have even the
school.
Nick Sabans of the world, like,
Mhm.
and then you have like your players coach, like Campbell,
Yeah.
AP, right?
Yeah.
I think Sean Payton is on the other side of that, right? Where he is more of a,
I agree.
like, when the players don't feel you really.
This is the way I do
This
it.
is the way in my way, kind of like the Belichick vibe.
Well, I think
right?
they both then, I could see that with both, because
But-
Wilson's an established quarterback.
But
Yeah.
here's what he did right when he got there. Let's check one.
Yeah.
One, so Russell Wilson apparently had his own parking spot. He took that away from Russell. You're not going to have your own parking spot. Let's start there. Then Russell had his own office. I believe he took that away. That's how he came in to the season. So right there.
I thought women were emotional and
Oh,
petty,
right.
but here we go.
Yes.
This is the most petty. Get out of here. This is
So what does
Okay,
that tell
Sean
us,
Payton, grow
right?
up.
So right there, you're telling me
You think he thinks he's bigger than the team, and you want to knock him down a couple pegs,
right.
Which
okay. I have heard that type of chatter about them. That makes sense.
So now you're seeing a discord, right?
So they want to keep Sean Payton and
So what that tells me, Sean Payton knew this wasn't my guy, and I'm gonna push you out.
exactly.
That to me, that's how I take it,
And
right?
rebuild next season.
that
Yep.
makes sense.
That's what I'm
But
thinking.
who's going
So
to want to play for someone like that?
I mean,
That's going to be a hard
That's
position.
another team that's going to have locker room issues and behind
And
the
we're gonna
scenes.
and that's going to affect their
that's going to be
mojo.
interesting. And in
Yeah.
fact, I called our friend. Shout out to Elisa Hernandez. I didn't call her. I
Hey, girl,
messaged her through
hey.
Instagram. I go, girl, where are you at? I'd love to get your take on the Broncos. Remember, she's a big Broncos fan,
yeah.
but she couldn't. But I'd love to hear her take on
The
that.
horses.
that would
She
be
loves-
interesting.
She loves the horses. Yeah.
love her.
but at
Um,
least he's still. What I respect about Russell Wilson is he was still present in the game. He's down there throwing around with what's the Jared? Who took his place?
Judy?
Jared.
Jared Stidham.
Yes.
Stidham, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was still down there throwing passes with him. He was engaged in the whole game. He kept his helmet on, kind of weird.
That
but
was
whatever.
weird.
It was weird.
You guys
That was weird.
He kept his helmet on the whole game.
I'm ready,
the
coach,
fans
put
in the
me in.
stands kept their helmets on the whole game.
Oh,
They kept them people who was at the game in their little Grinch outfits kept their Grinch outfit on the whole game. He was supportive the whole game.
That's true.
That
I
is
like
so
I know what you're
funny.
saying. Yeah.
Put me in, coach.
on
I'm
the
ready.
side.
He was
Put
ready.
me in.
This motherfucker get a hangnail. I'm
He's
ready
like
to go.
Rudy
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
sidelines. I'm ready to go, coach. Put
Please
me
break
in.
your ankle. Please break your ankle.
That is so funny.
I
Well,
still got it.
the one thing we forgot to
I
talk
still
about.
got it.
That is so funny. Well, this is going to be interesting because where will Russell land? Raiders
At
are
home
being
with them
talked about.
kids.
What about Vikings?
He
You think he's
tagged.
going to retire?
I don't know. I wouldn't mind if he came to the Vikings. I really don't. I mean, I don't. Do you want to come quarterback
But
for the
who's gonna
Vikings?
pay
I
just
could.
him.
I could. I think I could do it. I'm in it.
But
Let's try it.
Yeah. I'm not short as Russell probably, but
that's
you
true.
know, who
But
knows?
does
Maybe
anyone
this-
want Russell after this too? Because I think kind of his vibe and him not vibing with the team, that's got to mean something to other teams.
Well,
But I also think it's like how Monica said when he came in, taking parking spaces and doing all that other stuff. It's like
you
go
did
where
admit-
you want, go where you're wanted.
Yep.
You say the same thing in relationships. Go where you're appreciated, not tolerated.
Yeah.
And,
And
so if
isn't
there's
that
a
a
team that
little-
really wanted him, he would go.
And isn't that a little demasculating? Like you know what I
yes.
mean? Like you just,
Yeah.
I don't like that. I get what you were doing, but it just.
There's a way.
And you know what? Listen,
Yeah.
you can say whatever you want about Russell, let's ride and all that, but everybody points to one thing: he's a nice guy.
Yeah, his character has never been questioned.
100%. I've never heard one bad thing about this guy, and that kind of irritates me. So I don't think that he'll let this be the end of his career. I do think he'll go where he's wanted. They did give him a heads up apparently months ago.
Yeah.
Right.
And
he said no.
He's like no.
Yeah.
So he took his little 140 million and said,
I mean,
I'm
stand
good.
on your thing.
Whatever that
Stand
is.
on business.
Do
You
your
know,
thing,
I'm
player.
good. Stay on the grind.
But Minnesota's right there.
You know,
It's cold in
Like
Minnesota.
an hour flight right there.
Well, it's cold in
the
Denver too, I guess.
MVP
Yeah.
is still up for grabs.
Listen, we need to
Ooh.
talk about the MVP because all of a sudden after Dallas's loss, everyone counted Dak out. And all of a sudden I did not hear Dak's name. And it was crickets when it came to Dak. But when I was pulling the numbers, Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy are so close that how are we counting Dak Prescott out? Because Dak Prescott has 4,237 yards, 32 touchdowns, and only 8 interceptions. Mr. Brock Purdy has 4,280 yards, only 31 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions.
Sorry, but 4 of them were in the same game. So I'm gonna just
An
can we just
interception's
bring
an
that
interception.
down? Can we just bring that down to 8?
She's like,
No.
Or like
cross
7?
out a race.
I
bring it
mean,
down to
Dak's
7?
at
That's
8,
not
yeah,
fair.
but
Well, here's
but we got to talk about Dak. We got to bring him back. We
But
are
hold on.
counting him out.
here's a little caveat. Okay, and I'll throw in.
I'll breathe.
I'll throw. No, I hear you. I hear you. But let me.
His face.
I hear you, but I'm gonna throw in Lamar's stats. So Lamar is less than both Dak
Yeah.
and Brock, 36-78. So he's got less yards,
Okay.
less touchdowns, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So why are we still freaking talking about Lamar being MVP when you have almost 700 less of yards? That's crazy to me. But
Okay,
you know
but
why?
do you know-
I know why though.
Why?
Do you know why?
Why?
Let me read to you
Oh,
the
hold on. Here
definition
we go.
of the QBI rating. Are you ready for
Oh my
it?
gosh.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
There's a
let's
little
hear it.
caveat that I think this is the problem why Lamar's getting the talks, Brock isn't anymore, and Dak isn't. It says the metric takes into account quarterback contribution to a game, passing, rushing, sacks, penalties, touchdowns, and turnovers. Each being weighed based on, here's what I think the problem is, the difficulty and context of the game and the strength of the opposing defense. Your problem?
So see, it's all BS numbers, and Dak should be right back in the talk of things is what we're
Your
getting
problem
at.
is Dak is putting up numbers against teams that aren't great.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Well, that was going to be what was our tiebreaker. But do you know who has more yards than Dak and Brock? That this one kind of shocked me.
Josh?
No.
Oh, who?
Tua.
Oh, that's
He has
weird.
4,451 yards.
Yeah.
Wow. I
See-
mean, he is amazing, but
That
I did
shocked
not-
me.
that's-
I didn't see him as being above them in yards.
me
Well, we don't get to vote, so we'll see what happens.
And if we know nothing else, the NFL is going to do what the NFL is going
Thank
to
you.
do. It don't
Oh,
have nothing to do with
100.
what's written in the
You.
book. It don't have nothing to do.
Okay, but we
rules
broke the
change
curse
as they
of
want.
Jimmy Johnson this year. So therefore, the NFL has to make it our year because now.
If you don't get your ass.
And I hope you got that whole thing because Melissa and I went like this, and you said it was great. We need to get 4 screens on that when we edit.
Hey, Michael Irvin, when he broke the record the last
we
time
go.
he did, we won the Super Bowl.
Reaching, girl.
And then I still want my thank you letter for the Herschel Walker trade that started your dynasty.
Exactly.
That's what we want to do. If we want to
ex-
go way back to where nobody gives a fuck.
We weren't talking about the past.
See?
digging up the history lessons. Just here we go.
And get it, girl. And let's talk about it, and we'll end with this because Jimmy Johnson did get his flowers finally.
Yeah, he did.
Hey, that made me emotional. As Cowboys Nation, I don't like to speak on behalf of people, but I can speak on behalf of us. We love Jimmy, and that was an emotional, cool moment.
Long overdue.
Yeah.
And
Long
for a lot of
overdue.
newbies, and maybe even avid fans that don't know this because you just don't know, which is fine, is that Jimmy Johnson came to Dallas Cowboys. He replaced a legend in Dallas, Tom Landry, 1989. He was brought there by Jerry Jones, and he went on to do big things.
He took a
you
1-15 Cowboys and turned them around, and they
3
were
years
the
later.
youngest team in the league that year to win the Super Bowl back to back.
By the way, though,
built on
as
Jimmy.
you
We
mentioned,
love you, Jimmy.
but how did you guys get there? As he was jogging, by the way, this epiphany came to him. And he decided, so that you, as a Dallas Cowboy fan, you guys had this guy named Herschel Walker, one of the best running backs. And this is what I read.
Yeah.
As Jimmy Johnson was doing his morning jog, he got this idea saying, you know what? I'm going to trade the best running back in the league and get 8 picks. And I'm going to redo this whole trajectory of the Dallas Cowboys. So he traded the best running back and he got 8 picks.
That's why you have to give Jimmy the credit for building that Cowboys team because he was the one that made that decision and did it. And ultimately, that's kind of what led to Jimmy leaving and him and Jerry, but he's in it now. All is right in the world.
See, and there we go back to the guys being emotional.
Yeah.
The egos got involved. My team, I'm the owner, but I did this for you. And who's going to get the accolades for doing what we do? And so the two guys ended up
having
a fallout, and that's why he didn't get the Ring of Honors for years. And a last little tidbit, which I find interesting, is that when you guys got the Super Bowl and you won back-to-back, I had to double check because I was like, wait, am I putting this in wrong? You beat the Buffalo Bills, and then you beat them again. So that was during the Buffalo Bills when they had 4 Super Bowl appearances and lost all 4.
I did know
and
that,
you guys were credited with 2 of the 4 losses.
Yep.
So,
Hey,
but I'm so
shout
glad
out.
that we got to talk about it.
I
all
love
the history.
it.
I could sit here all day.
I know.
We really could.
I can't. I gotta go mind the business that pays me.
I know. We'll work on that. We'll work on that
You
next
don't want
year.
to talk about the Cowboys all day long
I
with
do
me?
Hey,
not.
we got week 18. We have some big games.
Yes.
Everything comes down to the next couple couple of games. And then, of course, we will talk about it, the playoffs, the wild card, and, of course, the Super Bowl. And as always, keep it sexy.